Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this week's episode of Mocktail Minutes. This is Bailey.
And this is Brianna.
This week I am drinking the Kevita Mojita. Mojita. Aren't they usually mojitos?
Yeah.
It's mojita on here. I
All
was like,
right.
wait a second, that doesn't sound right.
You're like, hold on.
It's
Maybe because it's like a mocktail.
lime, mojita, lime, mint, coconut, probiotic refresher sparkling drink.
Nice. I like those.
It's the only probiotic drink I will drink, and only this flavor. That's it.
The mojito.
Mojita, yeah.
I don't know if I tried that one. I'm gonna try it. I'm doing the Olipop cherry cola today, and I mixed it with a vanilla core power. I don't love it as much as the orange one. The orange is absolutely delicious, but this is still pretty good.
Yeah, it works. Gets the job done. Get you
Yeah.
some protein in.
I'm getting a little bit of protein and fiber and a tiny bit of carbs. Oh, actually, this Olipop has 15 grams of carbs. I feel like that's kind of high for them. They don't usually have 15, but that's fine. Yeah, I'm getting some fiber, protein, and carbs because I definitely need to be eating around this time.
Yes. Today we are diving into one of our rabbit holes that we started to go into last episode. We're gonna fully go in. Oh, that sounds weird. We're going to dig into the rabbit hole, not go into the hole fully. That's weird. I was like, how can I say this?
You're like, hold on. Yeah, we're diving into the gluten rabbit hole. Why do people feel better when they don't eat gluten?
Even if you're not celiac. Obviously, if you're celiac, you're going to feel better. But there are reasons why going gluten-free might make you feel better. Number one, I would say the top reason is because you're eating fewer processed foods. A lot of people feel better going gluten-free because they end up cutting out a lot of these processed foods like white bread, pastries, cookies, which spike your blood sugar and drain your energy. So that's the first thing that I point out to people. I'm like, well, you're just eating like more like actual whole foods. That can change a lot of things.
Yeah, I think that's a big one because a lot of the gluten containing foods are like those, all the snacky foods that have a ton of sugar and stuff in them too. The other thing is like gluten is sprayed here in America with, glyphosate. That wrong. Glyphosate is inflammatory. And so people have like reactions to it. And the thing is like it's a toxin and we kind of live in a big toxic world. So I think just for a lot of people, adding that on is just like pouring a little bit of gasoline on the fire every time you do it, and you're not going to feel great.
And with that glyphosate, it is a gut health disruptor. So it may act like an antibiotic in your gut, killing off your beneficial bacteria and promoting more of that imbalance, which can also lead to inflammation, poor digestion, and immune issues. But it is found in like Roundup, or it's used to kill weeds a lot of times. So what you can do there, just little side note, organic can be helpful. Organic foods, looking for, they have but why is this word hard? Glyphosate residue free label, just to kind of look at. But really your glyphosate hotspots are going to be oats, wheats, cereals. So looking at different brands like Purely Elizabeth is great. Seven Sundays, Three Wishes. I believe Simple Mills.
I think so. I know Bob Red's Mills was supposed to be, but they got into some trouble like a couple years back because it had some stuff. But typically that would have been one that I like really liked before that. But I think Simple Mills is.
Yeah, Simple Mills, Lesser Evil, that's another great brand. Thrive Market, a lot of their brands. So just some different ways to switch it up where it's not going to be the end of the world, but it's something that can be beneficial to look at.
Yeah, I just feel like if you're battling inflammation, not great. And then especially if you're battling inflammation, but then you're having foods that are high in a lot of those like gluten, but then also sugar because those are the type of foods you're doing, a lot of dyes, a lot of, additives. It's probably why you don't feel very great. Another thing that people have or they feel better is like their gut feels better. They have better gut health. So gluten can cause like some bloating, gas, irritable bowel. Some people are more sensitive to it. This is why a lot of people say like, oh, I can go to Europe and I can have wheat there. Europe uses a different type of wheat. So there's different types of wheat and they have different gluten concentrations. The one we have in America is actually really high. And for some people, it's just too much. And especially if you have any sort of leaky gut already, it just kind of exacerbates it. And so again, glyphosate not great for your gut health. Gluten kind of being an irritant, you're just continuing to like pour a little bit of gasoline on the fire over and over and over again.
And if gluten is something that is causing some like minor damage to that gut lining, removing it can actually help your gut absorb nutrients better, which better energy, clearer thinking. So it can improve that nutrient absorption.
Yeah.
And seeing, okay, how is this impacting me? And then, yeah, the reduced inflammation part, because some people are sensitive to gluten containing grains like wheat, barley, rye, even if they don't have that celiac. But again, it's hard to say because I wouldn't say that it's necessarily just that gluten-free component that is making that big change. I truly think it's the less processed foods that you're including more. That's the main reason you're feeling better. But again, yeah, some people are maybe a little bit sensitive to gluten. But then I see what happens is like now we're buying all gluten-free processed foods. Like,
Yeah.
are really better? I don't know.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, like we've talked about that before. Like just because a food has like a lot of health claims or they're clean or gluten-free or whatever, if it is a processed food, it is still a processed food, and trying to cut out highly processed foods is always going to be a good idea, right? I think, instead of finding gluten-free options for all of the carb foods that you like maybe try different carbs.
Mm-hmm. Potatoes are great.
Beans, potatoes, other things.
So really, you can include gluten and still feel good. I will say, honestly, I think I've unintentionally just like lowered my gluten intake because of less processed foods. Like most of our starchy carbs are quinoa, beans, potatoes, and
Yeah.
it just kind of naturally happened. But I mean, including whole grain options, you're gonna have more fiber, less sugar. You're gonna digest it a little bit slower. Just watching for your portion sizes, where maybe again, it's not just like the gluten itself, maybe it's just that overload of carbs at one meal. Where are you having pasta noodles with white pasta plus some garlic cheese bread, and like you're just going to have a blood sugar spike, so that's why you're not feeling good.
Yeah.
Using fermented or sourdough bread. So, like real sourdough breaks down gluten and phytic acid, making it easier to digest. So, be helpful as well. With that, I mean, I get a lot of questions like, what's better? What's the best bread, sourdough or whole grain?
Yeah.
I mean, they both play different areas. So, digestion and gut health, sourdough, fiber and nutrients, whole grain. But you can also get the both of best worlds. I mean, the best of both worlds. I was like, that doesn't sound right either. And do like a whole grain sourdough. The sourdough itself, it's going to be easier to digest because of that fermentation process. Has a lower glycemic index. It supports that gut health again due to that natural fermentation. And I would say, I mean, those are kind of the main things, but you can also be inconsistent. So not all sourdoughs are fermented long enough to offer digestive benefits. You want the real good stuff. I have sourdough discard and I've kind of played around with making my bread. I haven't done just like, I guess it's like sourdough discard loaf bread. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you can like smell when it's fermented.
Oh, it's actually sour. Like that's where, the term comes from.
Exactly.
And that's what I try to tell people is like a lot of your store-bought sourdough bread probably isn't fermented long enough or goes through the fermentation process like it would if you were like making it at home and letting it go through like multiple different fermentation cycles or whatever you want to call it. So, just kind of be like knowledgeable of that too. But I mean, sourdough, I get that question a lot too. Like, can I have sourdough? And I feel like for blood sugar, if it's true sourdough, a lot of people seem to have an easier time with it again because it's lower glycemic. But whole grain, same thing because it has all that fiber in it. I actually went down a really intense rabbit hole like a day or two ago about like why wheat is not great for us anymore. And it's because of how we mill it and what we do to it, and how prior to like 19 something, like bread was like so much better and nutrient wise. So there's always that. You could always play around with milling your own wheat. I don't know how to do that, but I'm going to look into it. It's a hyperfixation now that I'm going to do. So I might come back and share with you guys.
Yes.
And sometimes it's a placebo effect. So, and we talk about this a lot. Like sometimes it's like, oh, I cut out gluten and I just feel so much better. And I never like to discount that, like if someone's like, it really was the gluten, I feel so much better. Fantastic. Like whether it is factual or not, it doesn't really matter. If you feel better, excellent.
Mhm.
Like you've benefited, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's again, it goes back to the mindset piece of things. Whatever you kind of talk to your brain about, you're probably going to start believing that. So whether it is or not, I mean, if you're feeling good, continue, but I feel like things still aren't right, but I need to do gluten free. Like, is it actually helping or is it causing more stress? So
Yeah.
you can include gluten and still feel really good. It's
Mm-hmm.
all about how you include it. What are you exactly doing? Or what are you doing when you're cutting it out and feeling good as well? So
Mm-hmm.
making sure you're pairing it with fiber and fat, eating gluten containing foods with healthy fats and fiber, slow that digestion, keep the blood sugar stable. Those are
Mm-hmm.
all different ways to kind of see, okay, how do I do with including gluten, but also feel good? So that way
Yeah.
you don't have to feel deprived.
Yeah.
I would say there are some people that should avoid it completely. Number one,
Yeah.
celiac disease.
Yeah. You have an autoimmune. You literally cannot tolerate the protein in bread.
Yes. Yeah.
Don't.
Don't do that. I would say gluten sensitivity, because if you are sensitive to something, and this is always tricky because sensitivity tests aren't that accurate, but okay, let's say you cut it out for 6 weeks, you feel really good, you start eating whole grain bread again, you're like, oh, I feel like crap again. Okay, well, then just don't eat it. It's not anything crazy, just keep going.
Yeah.
So that can also be Hashimoto's is another one. It's often triggered by gluten. So if you
Mm-hmm.
have Hashimoto's, I recommend going gluten free. And then just if you have a lot of chronic gut issues going on, like IBS or leaky gut, gluten and dairy can be really tough on the gut when you have some issues
Already like stuff
going on.
going on. Yeah.
But with that, I mean, I would say you don't have to necessarily get rid of it forever. It could be let's repair the gut and then see how you do. Introduce.
Yes. And like for that one, because there is, certain like, supplements that you can kind of take, like glutamine is one. It kind of helps repair the intestinal lining. But if you are continuing to eat small amounts of stuff that irritates the gut, it does not matter how many supplements you take or what testing you do. Like you have to take it out, then fix the gut, and then slowly add it back in and see, is this something I can tolerate now? But I see that a lot. Like I do it, but like I'm still going out and doing this. And I'm like,
Not
well,
how it works.
it doesn't work.
I mean, in general, if you are actually wanting to change things, you want to see the needle move, whether it's weight loss, whether it's gut health, energy, sleep, you have to actually do something. I have so many people, I wouldn't say so many, I have a lot of people that have fantastic results and are doing everything. But I
Yeah.
do have a few that are like, I want to see this weight loss. I'm like, okay, we have to do the things. You can't expect change if you're not going to change.
Yeah. And sometimes it's hard. Like sometimes it sucks. Like any sort of elimination diet sucks, but it's going to be worth it. And if you do it correctly, it doesn't need to be like that forever. Interesting enough with the Hashimoto's, you can have flares triggered by gluten. It's also because of what the wheat is like added, what's added to the wheat. So specifically sodium bromide is added to wheat. That actually interferes with iodine uptake. So if you have Hashimoto's, that's another, so there's multiple things going on there. And so that's why so many people, like if you ever heard any like thyroid dietitians talk, they're like, cut out gluten. Like you have to cut out gluten. There's multiple reasons why. So I would say if you're really trying to get a hold of your thyroid health, we shouldn't be doing anything that's going to interfere with already an underactive thyroid,
Would you say just for Hashimoto's, or would you say like overall hypothyroid?
overall hypothyroid, like for sure with Hashimoto's because it's autoimmune and it's, inflammation driven is not like inflammation driven, and just knowing glyphosate itself can increase inflammation. But I think if you're having an underactive thyroid and you're already having a hard time like taking up iodine, utilizing it, don't do it. And I think that's why some people do feel better too. Like people that may not have Hashimoto's, but they have like an underactive thyroid, that could be why they feel better
Mhm.
as well. Yeah. But it's worth playing around with. And I know it sucks, but
It's not the end of the world. And I mean, I've shared before, like I'm dairy free due to a dairy allergy. I
yeah.
know what dairy tastes like. Yeah, it sucked at the beginning, but Yeah. Well, what sucks a lot less is to not have to take any medications, not have migraines, not be exploding out both ends. So,
Right. Like not feeling like crap all the time. That also is great.
yeah. So it's all like we talked about choosing your hard. And I mean, any change is going to be hard at first.
Yeah.
Again, we're not saying everyone needs to go gluten free. We're not saying that everyone should include gluten. You just got to find what works for you. And this is something that we help our clients decipher as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Quality. Yeah. I'm figuring out does it work for me? And if it does, what kind? Hopefully that's helpful.
Yeah, that was your rundown on why going gluten free can actually make you feel really good. Experiment with yourself, kind of decide where you feel best at and what's going to work for you.
Mm-hmm.
Just do that. If you want to experiment with going gluten free for 6 weeks, do it. I mean, it's not going to really hurt anything. But again, don't feel like you need to go buy every gluten free cookie out there. Eat a potato. Eat
Yeah.
naturally gluten free.
100%. Don't just find all the gluten-free alternatives. That's not really helping much. Maybe a little bit, but not much. You're missing the point if you're doing that.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Expensive.
Yeah.
So expensive. My gosh. But yeah.
Yeah. It is very expensive. We hope this episode was helpful as always, and we will be back next week with a brand new episode. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.